So, believe it or not, this is actually a video topic I had in the queue for months now. It's just with newer things coming up and the trade deadline passing, we had a whole bunch of other video topics that we ended up talking about instead. But now, with yesterday's news that the Columbus Blue Jackets made some roster transactions, this topic is back in the forefront once more. And this is a pretty good opportunity to bring it up here on the YouTube channel. So, as we said, we are talking about the Columbus Blue Jackets and a player on their team that had a pretty bad sophomore slump. Like, you talk about the slump as if rookies go out there and they have pretty good seasons, and then the next season, they maybe get a few fewer points. They don't score as many goals. They maybe get a tad more assists, but it's not enough to compensate for the production they had last year. That's normally what people think about when it comes to the sophomore slump in the NHL. Normally, these guys will plateau, they won't improve, maybe they get a few fewer points. But this guy, no. This guy had a lot more points last year, and if you look at just the pure hard point totals, you're going to be asking yourself, wait a minute, what happened? Like, why? Today we are talking about one of the youngest players who had suited up in the NHL last year. He's currently 19 years old, and I think that kind of needs to be established before we get into this video. This guy was born on May 16th, 2003, so he's literally still a teenager. He's not even 20 yet. Born in Columbus, Ohio, he's a hometown guy, and he was taken by the Columbus Blue Jackets 12th overall in the 2021 draft. It is none other than Mike Sillinger's son, Cole Sillinger. And part of the reason why Sillinger is in the news today is because yesterday the guy was sent down to the Cleveland Monsters in the AHL. And it's interesting because when you see a 19-year-old guy get sent down, especially after he had a really good rookie season last year, in 2021-2022, the guy played 79 games, so he played the full season immediately after the draft. He was the only player out of the 2021 draft to make their team full-time out of the selection. Actually, no, J.J. Moser was in there too, but he was like a double overager, so it's kind of different for him. But for Sillinger, in the 79 game played sample he had 31 points, 16 goals, 15 assists. He was known primarily as a goal scorer during his junior days with the Medicine Hat Tigers in the WHL, as well as the Sioux Falls Stampede in the USHL. Sillinger had a blistering wrist shot, a really good goal-scoring ability, and his overall mind for offense was very well polished heading into the draft. It's why a lot of people, myself included, said, hey, at 12th overall, I could kind of see the vision there. There's a reason Columbus is doing this. And long story short, that success translated to immediate NHL projectability in his 18-year-old year. As we had said, he was one of the only players under the age of 19 to suit up in the National Hockey League that year. And realistically, 16 goals, 15 assists, 79 points, that's a really good rookie year considering the circumstances. But this season, it really hasn't been kind to him. And as a result, you had the Columbus Blue Jackets sending him down to the AHL yesterday, and the primary response that I saw from most CBJ fans was, finally. Good. Finally, they're sending him down because he needed this the whole gosh darn year. We'll talk about the numbers as the video goes on, but I wanted to showcase this quote made by Jarmo Kekalainen on Sillinger getting sent down. This is a great opportunity for Cole to join the Monsters as they continue to push for a berth in the Calder Cup playoffs. Okay, cough, we're gonna look at that later too, the Calder Cup playoffs and the playoff standings for this team, but Kekalainen says, taking on additional responsibilities and playing games with playoff implications, and hopefully games in the playoffs, is hugely important to the development of a young player like Cole. Zach Werenski was in a similar position a few years ago, and the experience helped him individually and from a team perspective as it resulted in a Calder Cup championship. This is how Sillinger has performed in 2022-2023. In 64 games played, he's got 3 goals and 8 assists for 11 total points. Now, if you just look at the isolated point totals, that production drop-off is crazy. And it becomes even crazier when you realize that last year, Sillinger had a hat trick in one of these 79 games. This season, in 64 games, he is not able to surpass the goal total he had in one game last year. Now, I know that's a terrible example to bring up because, of course, a hat trick can really skew the production of one guy and his profile, but for Sillinger, this season had been probably the sophomore slump of all sophomore slumps. It looks like he had lost his confidence. The pucks just weren't going in for him. He had a goal like a week ago for the team, which was nice to see. You saw the celly after he tapped it in the backdoor pass. He seemed really happy to get that monkey off of his back. But now, Sillinger is going to be taking his talent to the AHL, in a situation where you probably needed to see this happen sooner. Now, part of the reason why you could debate the Blue Jackets even kept him up was because, they wanted to remain competitive and still have a chance at winning some games. You don't want to go out there and completely crap the bed after Johnny Gaudreau signs with your team, but unfortunately that is sort of what happened. Now, the departures of other guys like Texier and stuff didn't really help in that situation, but still, the Blue Jackets had themselves a competitive year. However, their competitiveness was not really able to shake them away from being the first overall projected pick right now. It's just Cole Sillinger happened to be a part of that. The entire team was doing pretty poorly, and he wasn't an exception. And the beauty of this is everything that we had talked about at the beginning. He is literally only 19 years old, and because he was drafted out of the USHL, he is capable of playing in the AHL. He is not bound to that CHL junior agreement like some prospects happen to be when they're drafted. He's playing with the Monsters, and if you look at the AHL standings, it's pretty good to note that this team is doing a lot better in their league than the Columbus Blue Jackets are. I mean, of course, the Blue Jackets are literally last, but if you go over to the Cleveland Monsters, hey, guess what? They aren't last. They are, what is that, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th last. In a tie for 6th last, actually. So, yeah, I was kind of joking. I know Kekalainen said that they're hoping for a playoff berth, and it's possible. I mean, they've only got 59 games played, but we'll see where things go with that. It's a little bit more of a competitive environment. At least they're at 500 on the year, right? Right? Columbus is not near that at all. But either way, Cole Sillinger, hopefully, if you're looking for the best case scenario in this situation, what you want out of this guy is to get maybe more than 3 goals in the remaining games played sample that the team has. Right now, they're at, 59 games played, and I believe there are 72 games in an AHL season. So that's around 13 games. If he is as talented as he was last year, he should be able to pot at least 3 goals in the AHL, no problem. But of course, if it takes a little bit of time to work out those confidence issues, just kind of get him back on his feet, more comfortable holding onto the puck and making plays and taking shots, he's got to be able to find a way to utilize those skills that made him so successful last year because he was a genuinely good player in the Blue Jacket system for 21-22. It's just unfortunate to see the sophomore slump hit as hard because this is probably the most hard one we have seen in any NHL player in the past few years. I mean, just doing the math here, 31 points to 11, that's a huge decrease, and the goal production is even more nutty. 16 goals to 3 goals. Man, for a guy that was touted mostly as a goal scorer, that's really unfortunate to see. I've seen a lot of people going out there and calling out specifically his skating, his mobility, his maneuvering around the ice, as well as how often he keeps his head up. And so maybe playing in a rougher, tougher league like the AHL will force him to develop those habits a bit more. And since the AHL exists for the sole purpose of developing players and helping out those individual skill sets, then maybe there should be more focus on that when he gets down there. Who really knows? So, for Cole Sillinger, he's a player that is talented enough, in my opinion, to end off this season in the AHL with, let's say, 3 goals and maybe 6 assists or whatever in the remaining X amount of games played in the AHL season. If he doesn't go out there and produce, that's fine. It's just based off of what he had accomplished last year, and if he's able to really get back on the horse, I feel like that should be more than accomplishable. Accomplishable? Is that a word? I don't know. But either way, hopefully all of this preparation, the sending down to the AHL, the confidence building down there, hopefully it's all able to help him manifest a better 3rd season in the NHL. A junior year, if you may call it, a 2023-2024 that sees him actually expanding and maybe even getting back up to the pace that he was at last year. In fact, if he's able to improve on that 31-point pace in 79 games last year in 2023-2024, I think that would be seen as the best possible outcome. And the good part is, the guy is only 19 years old, so not only is he talented enough, but he's also young enough to make it happen and steer his career back on track. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about Cole Sillinger and the way that he has played this season. Are you excited to see what he's going to be able to do in Cleveland? Are you projecting more out of him in 2022 or 2023, 2024? Do you think he should play back in Columbus next year, depending on how he plays now? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video. Juraj, and bye.